is an animal. Here, let's just put another camera on. La la la, la 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 la. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. In this video, we're going to get into some basement wall framing. Technically, it's not a basement. This is a split-level house, but the principles are all the same. I was alone this day, which kind of worked out perfect because it meant I could do all of the interior wall layout. That's not what this video is about, but I just wanted to show the tool that we use to fasten pressure-treated wood to a concrete slab. That tool is the Max High Pressure HN120. It's part of the high pressure system. I'm going to go ahead and put a little video above. You can see my review. Basically, in Japan, they don't use powder actuated tools. So instead, they have high pressure tools. It actually stores air in the tank at 500 PSI. I think I had this tool cranked up to about 305. Just for frame of reference too, this concrete was 5 weeks old. I think it was placed right at the end of July and we were getting started in early September. So yeah, right around there. Anyway, it is a coil nailer that shoots into concrete and steel. It's not the cheapest tool, but by the time you factor in consumables like your powder charges and nails and cleaning and disposing of those powder charges, etc., this is a much more economical way to fasten to concrete. Now, some of you might be thinking, is this enough of a connection? The answer is yes. They provide the testing data on their website for the fasteners. Additionally, as you can see, it is a whole lot faster. But don't forget that we're nailing down most of our walls to wood inside of a house. And hopefully we have something underneath that subfloor. So same thing, we do have an interior shear wall. In that case, the engineer's probably going to spec some kind of cast-in-place anchor or like a strong tie Titan. So you don't have to worry about these plates being pushed side to side. And of course, we're going to have the entire weight of the building on top of them. Three nails left. Zero nails left. The way that I like to approach interior walls is I lay everything out to the snap lines on the ground, and I don't run my plates across the door bucks or across the doorways. I just think it's a waste of time to come back later and actually have to cut them out. Now, having said that, you can probably see in the foreground there, I'm not going to use this tool to actually fasten small plates. It's just going to split out. Pressure treated is just not really that much fun to deal with. Come on now. Come on now. All right, we'll trim it. Just make it an eighth short. This one was a little on the annoying side because we had a mixture of 2x6 and 2x4 walls. Some of those are for point loads. So, yeah, kind of annoying. Not the end of the world. Anyway, when it comes to the small blocks, I'm not going to use this tool. I'll show you in just a minute. I use split drives from Simpson Strong Tie. Other companies make them as well. And a 1/4 inch bit on a roto hammer is pretty quick. And because you're basically pre-drilled, well, not basically, because you're drilling through the small block, when you go to drive the fastener, you're not going to split out those plates. I'll show you that in just a second, just for comparison, how much quicker this Max tool is versus a roto hammer and split drives. Roto hammer and split drives is a great way to do it, by the way. This is just a little bit faster. Well, a whole lot faster, as you can see. In the background, you'll notice that we have the Halo. I think it was the Halo Subterra That's foam insulation. What we've done is only put enough that they could pour concrete against it. And the reason is because that stuff is somewhat sensitive to UV light, and so we didn't want to put it all up until we could keep it covered and out of the sun. Okay, so let me just get this out of the way. We do not want to be breathing silica dust, but there are permissible exposure limits. And so I'm going to drill 3 holes with a 1/4-inch bit. Anything more than that, and I would use the little back attachment for the roto hammers. They're easy to use. They work really well. Because I only had 3 holes to drill here, I just turned on the Makita blower and let it blow the dust out. I'm well within the permissible exposure limits, but if this was something I had to do for the entire floor, then I would be using the little small vacuums that just click onto those tools. Might be able to show that in a future video. If not, just Google it. And so here is the split drive. You just drive them down. Really easy to use fastener. They're inexpensive. Nice 1/4-inch drill bit on your roto hammer. It's not super fast compared to being able to use the pneumatic nailer. Powder actuated tools like a Hilti are much faster, but then you have to properly dispose of, you need to be trained, properly dispose of the spent charges, like a little bucket of water or something. OSHA fines can be pretty massive for those. So split drives in the max is our preferred way to do it. Specifically, our preferred way to fasten pressure-treated wood to concrete. Basically, if you just kind of stand off to the side, you're essentially just going to walk. And I just want you to kind of pay attention to the process. This is how we'll do the rest of it. This worked out really well, that in the process of training Noah, I could just turn the cameras on and then show you all our process. This is what I was taught way back in the early 90s. I think I said that in a previous video, that we used to use a builder's level, set our corners. Anyway, you can see that in the previous video. I wanted Noah just to be able to watch the entire process. I have a point load above, and that's what I need a 6x6 column for. But by running a chalk line tight, it doesn't have to be crazy tight, don't break your chalk line. Anything more than like maybe 25 feet between points, I would have lasered in another stud and cut that to length. But you can see that, let's assume that the concrete was like plus or minus a 1/2 inch all the way across. That's not going to matter because I'm placing each stud over its layout mark and then touching that chalk line. That means that the top of my wall is going to reflect that nice straight chalk line. Don't like crank into the chalk line, you just need to lightly touch it. I'm actually marking this with my speed square. Often I will cut these by eye because I can do that, but I'm training Noah. And so fundamentals, I want him to make sure that all of his cuts are straight, so he's going to use a square. And then by the time he's done this like 10 billion times, he'll have the muscle memory to be able to cut them square by eye as well. There's no rocket science to this, as you saw in the previous video. Once we've got our corners set and they're all nice and level, and by level I mean based off a control point in the laser, we measured up to the same number, then it doesn't matter what our bottom plates are like. The top of our walls are going to be nice and flat. And added bonus, there's no ladder work when it comes to measuring in studs because we can trust that chalk line. And you can see that in that other camera angle. I am crowning all of my studs up. All studs have a bow. Well, all sawn lumber, let's say, has a bow. Some LSL studs and LVL studs can be pretty perfectly straight. Not necessarily, depending on if they've been out in the weather. But anyway, I am crowning all of these studs up. It doesn't matter, but the advantage to me as the framer is that by crowning them up, when I lay them on the concrete, there's no rocking. Now, I am going to cull those studs as I go. I don't want ugly studs. So I'm making sure they're still going to have a crown, but I want to just make sure that that crown is as small as possible. If not, I'll set it aside. It'll get cut into blocking or trimmers, but we're not going to use really ugly studs. Part of the reason for that is because we're framing 24 inches on center. And so we don't want that to telegraph through. Even 16 on center, We still want to crown our studs and do a good job coaling, but it's especially important with 24 on center, which I think I'll do a future video on. A lot of people think that framing 24 inches on center is a cheap way to do it. Well, those individuals have not done it, and they've not done any research on it. And that's a whole topic unto its own. In fact, stay tuned for something at the International Builder Show in February. Hopefully we'll be able to post some video in the next few months. Anyway, as you can see, the chalk line's just hanging there. Got a nail tacked to the top. Top of the studs at the corners is, of course, the top of our studs on this wall. I'm leaving this all in real time so that you can see how the process goes for yourself. I'm not going to speed it up and time lapse it. I'm not going to like jump cut it so that we get from like one end of the wall to the other in 3 seconds. This is real life. This is the way I frame. This is the pace that I go at. I don't have to go super fast. I don't have to kill my body because we have good techniques. And additionally, when we're coming out of the basement, we really want these walls. Everything else is going to build on top of them, right? Our floor, the upstairs kitchen, the bathrooms, the roof, everything else. So if we have a nice flat surface, then that means everything up above is going to be nice and flat. So there's no point in trying to set some kind of speed record and then blame it on the fact that your builder pays you too little. We need to do it right. He might still pay you too little, but that's a whole nother topic. I'm not going to get into that. Anyway. Okay, a couple things to note here. One, I grabbed the Makita beam saw because it was close. That beam saw is lighter than the Skill 77 that we all learned to frame with in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It really is an amazing saw. As I go, I'm throwing my scrap off to the side. We're going to try to use that, but in the interest of full disclosure, much of that is at my house because I've been using it for little campfires. We like to sit outside and read. We've got one of those solar stoves, and this stuff burns really well. It's not treated. It's okay to burn. It's Doug fir. I like to clean as I go. Notice that there's nothing behind me to trip on. I used to run through and just cut them all and then make another trip back through, but you can see, what does it take? Nothing to just grab them and throw them off to the side. Underneath those little racks, we're trying to use up all of that material first because it came from our other job. That's why it's kind of there in the way. We're using it up for top plates, but underneath that wood is a good place to store your scrap for now. Incidentally, those are just eye joists that I buy for next to nothing from the lumberyard. I just ask them, hey, you got anything in your boneyard you want to get rid of? They'll give them to me for like pennies on the dollar. They'll ship them out. We'll just cut them into 4 feet and brace them. And now we can keep our material elevated off of the slab or the dirt or whatever. Makes it real easy to go and grab with the forklift later. Something to note I didn't get into in this video, my top plates are cut so that they split over a stud, and I pulled layout from the far end because that's where all of our layout starts. In this frame, it would be from the top. So again, we're 2 foot on center. We want everything to stack. The nail gun that I'm using is the Max High Pressure HN90F, as in Frank, HN90F. I run that at about 280 PSI. It's extremely lightweight, very powerful, and I can carry about 200 nails per coil, so a lot less reloading. Awesome, awesome tool. It's in that video that I linked to earlier. You can see the whole review. We've been using that system since 2008. And yes, I slightly missed that one. It happens to me. It happens to me. Far more than I would like to admit. I had to pull the wall off because obviously I can't go up and over the concrete. So 8 inches of concrete, I had to kind of slide it off, and that's why my studs, they were all placed to the bottom plate. With the top plate, I needed to drag sideways just a little bit. Code requires 3 nails, top plate into stud. Good or best practice, what would I say? Good practice? That's not right. The best thing to do when you're nailing studs is to hold it in place flush with the top, nail the bottom, and work back to the top so that you don't actually miss it and hit your hand. I try to do that, but I get into rhythm oftentimes, and you can see I bounce fire. I'm trying to move my hand out of the way. I have not actually missed and shot myself since the early 2000s. I remember in the late 90s shooting myself, and it just missed and hit my knuckle on my right index finger, and I swear, I could feel it in my teeth, the shock. I didn't bleed, it just kind of bounced off, but that bone was bruised for a good 6 months before I could fully bend it again. So anyway, this is why I think whenever we're training new people, let's train them just to go slow and get used to placing things correctly, and then let them add some speed later. They don't need to shoot their knuckles, right? They can just learn from those of us that have shot our knuckles. Okay, since we're double top plating, then where my double top plate overlaps the seam from the single top plate, we have to add nails on either side. That's just a code requirement. Here, maybe I'll even put the code table in the video right here. You might have noticed something, and you might even be triggered by it. Because we're dealing with imperfect material, I tend to go like every 4 feet and hold the plate flush, and then nail that stud behind. So instead of working one direction, I tend to kind of like hop a couple studs away, nail it, and then go back. Some people just get so annoyed by that. Who cares? Do it your way, I'm gonna do it my way. As long as our plates are flush, we're both the best framers in the world, right?
The heavy part is not really the issue, it's more the awkward part.
It's the awkward part, yeah. So I'm gonna get this on my toes. We're both wearing safety toes, that's why we feel comfortable putting the wall on our toes. And just nice and gentle, I'm not gonna clean and jerk. It's not gonna be that bad. All right. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah. Okay. Get some pressure. Nice. Okay. All right, so you got a hold of it?
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to nail the 6x6. And that's going to help us to keep it locked in. Oh, I don't have my ladder. Oh, okay, I'll come to your side. Normally, before we lift a wall, we pre-stage ladders. I did not pre-stage the ladder on that side.
It's like a deadlift thing too.
Okay.
And then leaving the wall steady, you'll get a little bit.
Yeah. Once that leaves you push this way.
I was waiting for it.
I'm just going to tack it for now. can you grab me that nice looking coil of nails?
So no coil.
Okay, I'm gonna move the drone and then nail off the bottom.
Best looking one we got. Do you want me to reload it?
With the drone, really?
You did?
Yeah, that's okay. Let me just use the last of the nails. Thank you. And if you kind of just stand out of the way.
Yeah.
Gracias, dude.
I know the drill. I'm out. Yeah, I'll time you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-second reload. Dang. I like that gun.
Yeah. Since I'm using 3" by 0.131" nails, we like that diameter because it doesn't split out, but I believe it's 3 toenails. I'll put the code reference right here. As you can probably hear, I'm doing 3 on one side and a couple on the other. That's a couple more than I need. I wouldn't go anything more than that because then you're more likely to split things out. I try to just use the bare minimum of, like 3 is the bare minimum. It already has a safety factor applied to it, by the way, right? That's how it makes it into the code table. And then like to maybe twist the stud to be right on the line, I'll add 1 or 2 on the other side. When this is all said and done, that entire wall is going to be sheathed with 7/16 OSB because it is a shear wall from top plates to bottom plates with all panel edges blocked. So we don't have to go too crazy toe nailing studs to plates because we're going to have that sheathing. It's going to be a very strong wall. Okay. You want to hop up there and just turn the button off and bring it down, the one up on the... And you're giving me nothing but shattered dreams, shattered dreams. Feel like I could run away from this. Ah! Nailed it. Here's the process. Again, this time I will speed up part of it. I'm plumbing up that stud and attaching a brace. I did the same thing on the other end. I don't need it to be dead perfect. I just need it to be braced so that when I'm yanking on the string, it's not going to pull the wall. So while I was going to frame this front wall with 2 windows in it, Noah was going to take everything he just learned and frame the other garage wall. And of course, I'm there to answer any questions that he needs answered, but he did a great job. So taking the time to train will pay for itself, right? Sometimes it's like, we just want to get things done. We don't have time for training right now. But in like the half an hour it took to frame that other wall, he was able to watch the entire process. And now he can go do that process, and as he has questions, then we can answer them. So this one is the same thing. I'm gonna go ahead and crown all the studs up, touch them to the line, and then I mark square as I go. Now most of this wall is window. You'll see that I have 2, I think they were 4050 windows, so 4 foot wide, 5 foot tall. So I'm throwing all the scrap kind of in the stairway. I ended up taking all of that home. So it's good campfire wood. Top plate's already laid out. Now I'm going to go ahead and nail studs and then king studs in place. You're going to notice that the headers look tiny because they are. These are Roseburg Rigid Lamb LVLs. So since they're 4-foot windows, they're cut 4'3". I'll have a jack or trimmer stud underneath them. But I'm going to go ahead and nail them all flush because I feel like the top of my wall is going to be perfect, right? It matches the string. Then I'm going to measure in, just in case the concrete is off, I'm going to measure in my trimmers. This turned out that they were all exactly the same, so the concrete guys did a good job. That was us. So then I used the beam saw. I cut through, they're stacked. I mark once, and I cut through all of them, work my way down the pile. So there it is. I'm going to go about 2 nails every 12 to 16 inches, attaching the trimmer into the king stud. I am not going to do any other window framing except add my drywall nailer to the bottom of that LVL. Why are we using LVL? 2 reasons. 1, it's uniform, it's more consistent. 2, I don't need any more wood than this LVL, and that allows us to put more insulation in at the header. The advantage to me as the framer is that I can order material in odd lengths like 11 foot or 17 foot, and I can then better use my scrap. It's lighter because it's drier. There's really no disadvantage except that it will add $60 to the price of the lumber package for the whole house. Now, I've attached my double top plates. I got to do a little bit of finesse work there to get it all nice and flush. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lay out for the ceiling joists above, which should stack over my studs. That way I don't have to get on a ladder later. It's the little things, but it does add up. Save some time. I do want to point out that I'm leaving the next clip in because, well, it illustrates the reality of getting older. And so I'm going to tell on myself a little bit in video form. So enjoy.
Did you nail that if you want to help me?
I mean, I'm not going to enjoy it, but.
Nice, dude, nice. Yeah. So we'll just go vertical and then we'll lift it up onto the concrete.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
It's going to be fun. Uno, dos. Remember, lift with your legs. Yeah, Trace. Okay, hold on to it real quick. Have you got it?
Yeah.
You've got it? I'm just gonna get the ladder close.
I'm just gonna go home. You did this by yourself.
I would do it with the forklift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably would put blocks under it and then. Okay, dude, so
I believe you.
I think if we each grab opposite king stud trimmers
Yeah.
with 2 hands like this, we should be able to go right up on it.
Okay.
Uno, dos, tres. Oh, I'm too weak, man. Okay. Are you gonna be able to get it?
Maybe. It's on my foot.
Sorry, dude.
No, it's fine.
I don't know why that feels heavier.
Honestly, let me take my bag off. It's not like a weight belt. It doesn't
Well,
work for
it's
me.
nice to have them on because if you needed to do something right away.
I know. I just feel so sluggish wearing it.
Yeah, it takes a while to get used to it.
Like grab it like that.
Okay.
2, 1.
I can't pick it up, man. Hold on. Okay, you're good there?
Yeah.
So mine's gonna go and pinch. I can't pick it up.
Okay. Well, I'm on the concrete, not the.
Yeah, let's let it back down. Sorry. I just, I'm not that strong anymore.
It's just a height advantage because I don't have to bend down.
Okay,
to
so
get
the
as much
stud
of it.
fell out. It's kind of annoying.
Oh, what?
It's okay. Let me sawzall those 2 nails. Yeah, I don't know. That's I can tell when I just need to give it a little extra.
Yeah.
I've got nothing extra to give it. So I'm gonna grab it with the forklift. Nice. And probably what we'll have to do, Noah, is lean it to your left, but I'll pick it up with the forklift. The first part was easy.
I know.
watch that hose.
This job is right on the fairway, and even though really nobody should be able to get golf balls onto this site from up and over the trees, we keep finding golf balls. That was a good catch by Noah. Okay, what I'm gonna do, Noah, is I'm gonna go that way with it. And then I'm gonna go back. Okay. All right, let me do this. Okay. Just kick your king stud trimmer off the washer. Just push it. Yeah. Okay. Now, I've just got it holding.
Alright. You want me to push it your way, or are you good?
Nope, just stay right there. I'm just gonna nail it down. Okay, if you could on that end push toward the other wall. Just like hold it right there. Yep. Nope. Okay, of course I've got a gap. Probably gonna pull those. Okay, so you can go back to your wall now. Yeah, thank you, Noah.
Crazy how one lift can make me so sweaty.
Okay, so yep, turns out I am not as strong as I used to be, and I am okay with that because the forklift is still is still very strong. So hydraulics for the win. Now, one thing I just wanted to mention before we close out this video is we're going to frame all of the windows in after all of the walls are up and braced, etc., etc. We leave that so that we can use up scrap. What we're going to end up doing is, because the top of our wall, is essentially a reflection of that string line and all of our corners that were shot in level. then what we can do is we can just butt the underside of that header on the far left and then the far right, snap a line across, put in our sills, and then just measure in our cripples. That way our wall is level, our headers are level, and our sills are level. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. If you feel like it, hit that like and subscribe button. That does actually help out quite a bit. We will keep going on the framing in the next video. Thank you, everybody.